In a world of fitness trackers, productivity apps, and social media likes, we've all become citizens of the quantified self, transforming our personal data into a proxy for identity and worth. But are you truly optimizing your life or just complying with metrics? Today, we're going to explore how the culture of constant self-tracking is replacing deep, qualitative reflection with the relentless question, what do the numbers say? Join us as we dive into the psychological risks of a data-mediated self-worth and ask how long we can reclaim, or how we can reclaim, meaning in a world obsessed with performance. Welcome to The Rundown. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone, to The Rundown. Wonderful to have you with us for another week. We have our amazing panel of regulars, including Tamara Pika. How are you, Tamara?
I am great. I'm excited about this topic.
I am too.
I love this topic.
I was actually thinking about it earlier that every week at a certain point during this show, I check to see how many people are watching.
Right.
It's just, and if we're hovering around 40 or 50, like that makes me so happy. And but that's what it is. That's the quantified self. I mean, I'm looking for the numbers.
Yeah.
No,
I'm looking forward to talking about it.
yeah. And last night I watched Tony's show in part. Big part was because I wanted to watch a show, but in part, and I had this on because I wanted him to have some numbers to look at. I wanted him to know that people were watching and caring about what he was having to say. How you doing, Tony?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you. And last night was a fantastic show.
Thank you for watching.
Every time you have Ken
And
on.
thank you for your question.
Yeah. Every time you have Ken on, it's such a great show. I mean, he's so insightful. It's just fantastic. Just fantastic. Miss Lois, how are you?
I am well, and I have good news. It's sunshine outside and no rain for the next week. It's
Well,
gonna be great.
it is, I don't know about you all, but it is bitter cold down here in Florida right now.
Well,
Uh,
it's
so,
it's in the 30s and 40s, but it's not
oh, see, no, it's
rainy.
not that cold. I was going to say it's like in the 60s. That's that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
bitter. That's bitter
60s
cold
is
for us.
cold. Oh, yeah,
Now,
right.
Dave knows about cold. Dave knows about
Actually,
cold.
you know what's remarkable is we've been in the 40s.
Yeah.
We
So
are
that's
melting
not
up
too-
here.
yeah, that's
This
not
is
too
really
cold.
weird.
Yeah.
And a phenomenon that's reoccurring now, this will be the third year, rain in January.
You don't have that, really?
Unbelievable.
They have snow.
No,
Oh,
never have.
because it's
We
always
have blizzards
yeah.
in January. Rain
Wow.
is warm. Like
Wow.
this is above zero stuff, right? And what happens is the streets are skating rinks. I mean, it virtually is. You could put skates on and go down my road because it's got rain all over it. Beautiful, nice, shiny ice. Just beautiful.
Wow.
But dangerous
And
as heck.
when you say 40, what measurement are you talking about?
Yeah,
What-
Celsius.
I'm
or-
using for Fahrenheit for your benefit. Yes, it's like
that
plus
sultry
8, plus 10.
voice behind that, in front of all those beautiful books, is Sky Gleason. How you doing, Sky?
Hi, Mr. Paskin.
It's good to see you. And
So-
yes, we will have you out at the top of the hour.
It's good to be seen thank you. And every Sunday, we have a people group gathering, and YouTube is our delivery platform of choice. And consequently, those 23 connections we calculate as approximately maybe 2.5 people. So that may be 40 for
Wait,
one
what-
measurement called souls. So my church YouTubes their service. And during the service, we get 23 consistently now for 5 years. Well, it went down when everybody came back inside.
Yeah.
But now that everybody came back in, those homebound or those traveling or those snowbirds or it doesn't matter. we broadcast because there's somebody that is a part of our family.
That's
And
right.
so we're not looking for the big numbers, but we are grateful for this connection communication device. Madeline Smithberg, on the other hand, oh, she wanted numbers.
She wanted the numbers. Well, we will get into that, but before we do that, we got some news to get to, and two big stories. So our first story today is there's nothing happy about this, but this was really I think a profound moment with all that's going on in Iran, and with Iran trying to shut down any capability for the truth to get out. Elon Musk sent Starlink in to allow people to continue to post and share. And for the first time ever, Iran moved beyond shutting down terrestrial internet and was able to jam Starlink satellite connectivity using military-grade equipment supplied by Russia. This is a really significant moment, I think, because Starlink was the plan B for activists during blackouts. I mean, that's it, and it's so new, but it was the plan B, and bad actors have already figured out how to take that down. Now, I'm not surprised because I mean, bad actors will always. There's always a
done similar
technological
things in the
way
past,
to.
yeah.
But wow, this is it was an almost unstoppable tool for a lot of folks for bypassing authoritarian censorship, and now they figured out.
This is
how
the
to shut
first
it down.
layer of digital warfare. This is just digital warfare. That's what it is.
The first thing that
Just
shocked
like
me,
the Ukrainians are jamming a lot of the Russians. So
right? The first thing that shocked me about the story actually is that it has taken. This isn't Elon Musk. When I say an individual, I don't mean he did it alone. Of course, he has a whole company and everyone behind Starlink. But it took a private citizen or a private company to provide communications during a time of upheaval. That was the first thing that shocked me, is that we don't have systems in place, that we haven't figured out a way to allow people to stay connected to the world around them, that it still depends on the whim of your government. And boy, are some of us, at least, worrying about what the whims of our government may decide for us, depending on where you are in the world.
And when you say we, David, what we are you talking about? We should have the world in general?
That's it. Yes, but now that you're saying that, it sounds naive to me. But yeah, yes, I if the internet is this universal, notwithstanding all of the issues around accessibility and connectivity, notwithstanding any of that, if the internet is this universal tool for communication and getting information, for a rogue actor, for a rogue state to be able to just shut it down, and then for it to take a private company or a private individual to come to save the day, is just, that was the first thing that shocked me about this story.
So the internet was created as a place for people to communicate without censorship and all that other stuff. It's what is the original oomph of the internet
It
was
was
that.
created as a government
Well, no,
tool.
but when it went public,
Okay.
when it went public and it became the tool that we're looking at now, it was intended to be accessible to everyone from everywhere. And then a lot of large companies took over portions of the backbone, shall I call it, the foundation of it, and
the sources,
forced out of business a lot of small internet providers. They simply wouldn't deal with them, and therefore they couldn't compete because they couldn't get on. So right now, I do not believe that we have a universal connectivity with the internet. I think every place you are, the question is, who's providing the connection? Not your little local provider, but who's behind that? And can they turn that off? I know I'm a pessimist.
Oh, that's fair.
Well, and many countries do, right? So there are many countries where their government controls what people can access, and that
Yeah.
people have to go through VPNs or whatever else to get to whatever they have. And to a degree that happens here too. We kind of don't want to talk about it, but it certainly happens here as well. I think what these kind of things make for me is it really reminds me how we have become so intertwined in that world, and like so much of our business is done digitally, that when something happens you really have there's a loss of not just connectivity to each other, but really your whole life is wrapped up in that. So I think that's what it reminded me of, is that this is like where the next major wars are going to happen, is in that arena.
And if you, like I, use a Google account for your email, who owns Google? At what point can they just shut it off? And all of my connections, my history, my contacts, all gone. I'm not saying they would, but I don't know who owns Google.
Well, I'm not sure it's even about who owns it, but this is what we get for using services and systems that we don't own. And I was actually just thinking about this earlier today, Lois. Before we jumped on, I was showing the panel a whole bunch of the apps that I've made, and you asked, Lois, if I use them, and the truth is, not only do I use them, but I use them in critical ways for my work. For the school that I run. I mean, they're absolutely fundamental. I have turned them into fundamental tools. And one of the apps that I created, which I have not started using yet, I got a notification from Lovable, the platform, saying, hey, there's something, spammy about this. And so, and I went in to try and fix the problem, and I'm locked out. I can't get into that one app. If they were to do that, if that were to happen to something I was actively using, or my Gmail, wow. I mean, significant, but that's the price that we pay for. I don't want to say using free apps, because I pay for Gmail, I pay for Lovable, I'm on the paid plans, but for counting on third parties.
Not compared to what they actually cost.
No, not at all.
So
not
subsidized.
Absolutely.
You are so subsidized. So yes, effectively, since we have come from the era of a horse pulling a plow to automation where a tractor is now run by a satellite, then yes, you are effectively, this is the price of free. And again, marketing is what we are told. It's free. It's not free. You're paying with your time. You're paying with your research. And this is where I'm really excited, because Tamara introduced me to Nate. What's our friend's
Nate B. Jones.
Gesundheit. Anyway, and he came out this week with the difference between Anthropic and ChatGPT in their founders, and why they are philosophically different. Neither are good nor bad, but just different. So consequently, you are paying as what used to be called a lab rat, or a paid assistant to exercise the equipment. But now, if you crash, well, shame on you, but look at what you paid for it. So there's my
Absolutely.
Okay, off soapbox.
Yep. Now let's give and take. Dave, go ahead.
I wanted to mention that the wires that are the internet, the fiber optic cables, the relays, the frame buffers, that all of this stuff passes through, is regulated in most countries. And it's regulated to give an even marketplace, for lack of a better word, a place where everybody knows that you can't charge more for your fiber in Western Canada than you can Eastern Canada. And a lot of countries have installed it through government investment. I know that in our province, we spent $500 million back in 2018 to put in an internet for every town in the whole place. And it costs a lot of money, but it's the government's line. And you can't turn it off unless the government wants you to. So to Lois's point, yes, the people providing services and content and features for the internet can shut them off, and they're private and they can't do anything about it. But just like the telephone, you can't turn off the telephone just because you want to. The government says you'll be fined, or at least there'll be consequences if you turned off the telephone. And the same with cell phone service. This is the public airwave question, right? That you get a license to use the airwaves. Well, these people who are doing network connections in Canada are all licensed by a common agency. We call it the CRTC, and they determine whether or not you can do it. And you have to renew your license every 10 years. All the cable companies, broadcast companies, radio, and now the internet services that are provided through ISPs are all regulated by an agency. This also means that if we were in a state of war, there would be a content restriction, that some things wouldn't be allowed through. And it would be a national security concern, or some of, the old loose lips sink ships thing. You don't want to talk about where your son is stationed because he could be a target. So it's reasonable to assume that a government should have control, and it's reasonable because it makes a fair marketplace. But at the same time, if you go to war, you don't get your internet anymore.
Well, you don't get your internet anymore until Elon Musk and Starlink comes along and gives it to you, and then you have to find a technological way to take it down. And again, that's the piece of this that to me is fascinating, is that we've got a private industry going up against nation states.
Nation states, yes,
Yeah.
We've always
But only in
we've
America
always
would
had
you do
private industry involved in control. I mean, whether it just had to be a manufacturer of some armament, manufacturer of some vehicle. So yeah, industrialization has been a part of government control long time since governments began.
Yeah. And and in the same way that that Starlink wasn't able to stay up with the Iranian government, these companies are not all powerful. They can't do everything, and we also saw that in another very different way this week with Apple's. Well, actually, it wasn't Apple's big announcement. It was actually Google's big announcement. Apple kind of stayed hush hush on it, but with the big announcement that Siri is not going to use OpenAI, even though that's what we've had for the past, 2 years, I guess, is that if Siri couldn't handle the question, it would kick it out to OpenAI. But they just announced that Gemini is going to be the underpinnings of the new Siri that's coming. And a couple clarifications here, because people think that that we're going to be using Gemini. We're not. We're going to be using the foundation models, or the what's underneath Gemini. Google is licensing that to Apple so that it can use it as the underpinnings of its foundation models, which will then give us Siri. So our relationship will still be with Apple. It won't be kicking us out anywhere else to OpenAI like before. But why do you think they went with Gemini?
And it'll be using Google. I mean Apple's kind of ideology of
and security and
not
and all that.
Gemini's ideology of security.
Right. So why do you think they went with Gemini though? And I mean, they were talking to Anthropic. They were looking at OpenAI. They've been using it. You think it's all about money, Lois?
Well, most business decisions are about money.
I mean, the truth is,
the other.
Apple already pays Google, or does Google pay Apple, a few $1 billion. I think Apple pays Google.
Google pays Apple, yes.
It's one way or the other.
Apple makes money off
for
Google by
Google
allowing
to be
them
the
to
default
be
search
primary search
engine,
Yes.
on Apple devices.
They pay a few billion every year, yeah.
Is that Google paying Apple,
They
Dave?
will also, Apple will be subsidizing our access to Gemini. How's that?
Right.
There it is.
Right.
Well, I think it's
By
more than
licensing
that,
it.
because Apple.
Well, I
will
don't have to
also
pay to
be-
use Siri, do I?
No. But what I'm saying is, Apple will also control the security part of it.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
going to be a different
And they're-
experience if I use Siri or if I go out
That's
to
right.
Gemini.
That'll
Do you-
actually be really
And the data
interesting.
centers will have Alphabet
Do-
system will operate inside their data centers as well.
Yeah, it'll actually be really interesting, Lois.
Is your phone free, Dave Troutman? Is your phone free?
My phone
is not free.
Well, the internet's not free to me at all. The computer I use
subscription-
costs money, and
Your
my
subscription
internet
to
service charges me.
again,
Yeah,
nothing. It's not
Yeah.
free. It's just it's a different way of paying it, and it's a little more incremental. It's so you're going to die by
but it's not
1,000
an
paper
additional.
cuts.
But as you use ChatGPT, do you not pay separately for that? In
Some
addition to
people
having
do.
your phone?
Some people do, some
Yeah.
people don't.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it'll be really interesting, Lois, to see if the experience is different. If accessing this Gemini stuff through Apple will feel different or more secure or anything than it will be through Google. I think that'll be fascinating, actually. By the way, speaking of Google, I don't know if any of you saw this. Oh, wait, why don't now I'm not seeing it. Oh goodness, come on. They just
The government
launched.
took it down.
No, now it's not coming up for me. Google just
Thank you, Dave.
launched in their PDF viewer in Google a brand new. It's actually really, really nice. You can now e-sign documents in
Yay.
in your Google.
On a Google Sheet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a PDF from Google. Yeah.
Oh goodness, but now I can't find. It's not coming up for me. That's so
We've
interesting.
been able to sign documents for a long
That's about 2 weeks old. That
No,
news, I
not
think.
not
It's
in
about
not
2 weeks
in
ago.
Google Drive.
In the
You can
Google?
do. You've always been able to do.
Oh, well,
not
I
always.
can do it on my Mac. So
Right. No, but now it's built right into it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right now. I don't know why. It's now built right into
Okay.
Google Docs, which is fantastic. And the PDF.
And that used to be a feature of Adobe that is now spread out. Everybody
Because again, they've licensed that technology, so Adobe is happy to lease that technology to whomever Google, yeah, sure,
Google Docs. Yeah, sure.
sure.
Well,
The money just goes in circles, doesn't it? It seems to
It
go
really
from
does.
Shell
company
game.
to company.
It's just a shell game.
Vic
Not all
said
of
in
it,
the
but
chat.
a lot of it.
Vic said in the chat, Google pays Apple. Google recoups the costs from ad revenues generated from Apple devices. So yeah, it's going around and around and around. Wild.
but it's being fed by people.
Oh, sure.
It's not the same money going around and round and round. We're feeding money in and it's being siphoned off in other places.
Right.
Don't you think that this also has to do with stability, though? I mean, I think that when you compare the services themselves, there's just something like when I heard it, I was like, it makes a lot of sense to me. Just from a stability setting, Google has a lot more flexibility where they can kind of say, yeah, we'll do what you want. We'll follow these things. They're not trying to make structural deals to, figure out how to house their data and do all this stuff. They have some of that stuff already in play. And I feel like when you start comparing company to company, then what we're seeing in terms of the tools, they really are leapfrogging over each other every other week. So they're not getting anything like less than by going to Gemini. 2 weeks ago, Gemini was on top. Now ChatGPT is, and Claude's better at this. They're all kind of fighting in the same realm for who is better and who does what better. But I really feel like some of it has to just do with the stability that Google's been around for a while.
I think you're absolutely right that these models are going to continue to leapfrog one another. And I'm not sure that any of them are going to come out on top. I think some of them will do better at this. Right. Some of them will do better at that. And it
comes down to Apple said, I want this. I want it to do this. And they said yes or no.
I actually think I think the smartest thing that Apple said here is that we don't know how to do this.
Absolutely.
That's the smartest
Congratulations.
thing. Right? Is that they finally said, this is not our lane. Let's let the pros do this, and we are the pros at something else.
But they also have they have a history of this, right? They had Intel chips and in the background they were building their things, and then they could move them over.
Except their things
So,
turned out to be
going
better. So, Tony,
right,
let me
but
get you
that
in
doesn't
here.
mean that their AI isn't going to be better.
That's true.
Yeah, I really lean into the infrastructure that Google has, and that is in my mind the reason why they went in that direction. And I think, as has already been said, that that the technologies continue to leap over one another. The issue that Apple has had is that they are so far behind in the AI world that they had to get something. And so when they looked at all of these other AIs, Gemini was at the top of the heap at that moment. And that's what they went with.
John is making a really interesting point in the chat. He says that Google was willing to build models small enough to run on their phones, meaning Apple phones, and models cheaper to run in their data centers. So it's not only about finances, it's about the technology itself and where these companies are putting the emphasis on their technologies. Anthropic with this new Claude, what's it? Claude Coworker. Thank you.
Coworker.
That they are this week, they are now leaning big into we sit at your desk right by your side. We are your coworker. OpenAI has spent, I think, a lot of time building apps. They've got ChatGPT Atlas, which I use. They've got their ChatGPT app. They've got Sora. So they're kind of playing this. They're all doing the big stuff also, but ChatGPT is playing this consumer game, I think. And Google has always been very content to just kind of be in the background a little bit, but create the foundation that everything else lives on and is built upon. And if they're willing to do that with phones, fantastic. Lois, go ahead. And then
But
Sky.
Google has a reason to want to do that.
So
Yes.
you say Google's in the background, but Google has this browser that a lot of people use. It's called Chrome. And every single Chrome up in the corner has their little AI Gemini right there. All you have to do is click on it. So I don't think they're being background at all. I think they're being, they're sneaking in the side door and they're on everybody's browser.
Well, yeah, but what's
And
even
their
bigger than their browser, Lois, is the fact that there are hundreds of other browsers that don't have that little Gemini thing in the top corner that are built on Chrome. Right? So what Google has done here is it's positioned itself. Chrome is the ideal of perhaps what they think the browser should be, but you don't need, I'm in ChatGPT Atlas right now. That's a Chromium browser. I would never know that Google was the foundation of what I'm using right now because it's nowhere to be seen here. But I think both are true. Sky, go ahead.
If we were in a bar, 30 years ago, we'd be saying Honda was better than Harley and Harley was better than Yamaha, Suzuki, and we'd have Ford people telling us how bad Chevys. And so the marketing of this is what is the device that gets you from point A to point B? We've all heard the emotions of, well, I like this one because it's got a star in the corner, or I like this one because I know how to use it. So, but as has been stated earlier, we are no longer in a 10-month or 3-year commercial cycle. We're not even in an 18-month cycle. We are in a 3-month, if not faster than that, cycle of modification. And that's why the critical point of these two people behind Anthropic and ChatGPT is one of them. We are the beta testers that we are paying for the subscription, but they learn from that and fix it and modify it, versus Anthropic's point of view is, no, we need to test something and make sure it's safe before we deliver it because we have a trust thing. And so this is a Ford Chevy conversation. Well, I don't know. Maybe 3 lug nuts is enough. Maybe you need 5. I don't know. Let's try it with 3. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
Lois,
that
last word on this.
Okay. Baby duck theory. When you first come across something, an AI, and it works for you, well, then why should you change? Why bother going someplace else once you've got
Yep.
something that works?
Yep.
But
Well, that's
that,
why
I
the-
mean,
the-
that
the-
that
the-
begs the question: why did Apple jump ship from ChatGPT and move
Oh,
to
that
Gemini?
wasn't the question I was answering.
No, I
I
know,
wasn't
but that's
answering that.
but it raises that
I
question.
was asking Sky's question.
Yes.
What I
about
really
the-
care about is will Siri work like it's supposed to?
I've given
Because
up.
It will.
Siri is my
Google Maps won out over Apple Maps
Yeah,
for
I don't-
me.
I don't
now
think
Apple
I'll
Maps
ever
is
trust-
catching up.
I don't think I'll ever be able to trust Siri. I just it's I no really. I've been trained not to even bother.
And that's
this
the
is the
first to
thing,
market
yeah.
conversation. The first to market.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're
the
right.
trouble. You had
That's
to train
the
Siri,
baby
and it
ducks.
trained you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
baby ducks all the way.
All right, let's jump into this quantified selves and digital worth. There are right now 22 people that are watching us on YouTube. I don't think that counts Mukana people.
Live.
With
How
only
many
one
Mukana people
thumb
are there?
up. Only one thumb up. That makes me sad because that quantifies me as not worthy. Look, this is
We're not compelling enough.
we're not compelling. We don't
gotta get
ask anymore.
conflict here. You
How
gotta
do
get
I
us
feel?
arguing with each
Or
other.
what did I learn? Or am I living well? We ask,
If it bleeds,
what
it
do the
leads.
numbers say? We ask, what do the numbers say? We ask, how many likes do I get? We look at posts. When my wife and I, we both post for our daughter's birthday, and it's always a competition: who gets more comments and who gets more likes, right? So how has technology and the way that technology quantifies everything, it seems, how has that reshaped reflection, identity, self-worth across across age groups and different identities? Dave, start us off.
I'll start with, we are not our data. Self-tracking might be good for us, although it may only be short-term, like most other resolutions we make in January. Quantitative and qualitative, info is more useful for reflection, but data isn't really information until you've processed it into information. I think our biggest concern should be a generation that's always on, and the anxiety that goes with that, and the sort of mental, they call this cognitive load that a person carries around with them about all the things they're worried about. I lately have been looking at interruption as a factor, that all of our devices and all of our media are interrupting us. And I'm also getting people knocking on my door because charities aren't getting what they need anymore. And later I'm going to quote Marshall McLuhan and let you know what he thought about all this. But at the current time, there's quite a lot at stake for people sharing their data with other services and all the rest. So I'm really interested in what Tamara and the rest have to say about this, because like Tamara, this is really interesting to me.
Tamara, you want to jump in? Unmute.
I just did. I was just thinking about that when you're talking about data being quantifiable. The difference between, I'm old, so old school Nielsen ratings, where a very, very small number 4 times a year determined whatever it determined. But actually that number became really flexible because I could take that data as a producer or as a studio or a network and kind of finagle it a little bit. Whereas the current situation we have now as streamers is no one has that data because except for the networks, and all they have to do is literally look in their computer logs and they have exact data. So I feel like there's something that seems to be true of everything. We have much more exact data. We've got kids coming into school being told what they can't do and being measured on against these standards and these tests, and we've kind of taken away that flexibility where something could mean something or could mean something else. So I think there's really interesting. We have more accurate data, but it is not necessarily serving us better.
News break. The number of people watching us includes Mukana. I was hoping it didn't, because I would have felt better
Oh, I'm sorry.
thinking that there were more people. I play the game. I play the game. Sky, did you want to jump in? Sorry, let me get Lois and then I'll jump over to Sky.
Well, I'm so glad I found the place to raise my hand on Mukana. Thank you for fixing that for me. When we're talking about numbers applied to people and how much is this and how much is that, and how many steps did you take today? Well, does that include it thinks you went up 6 stories when you were on the flat the whole time? It's like, do I trust it? No. Do I need it? Not really. I mean, if I set myself a goal of stepping however many thousand steps a day, then yes, it would be nice to keep track of it to see if I fix that goal. But more importantly to me is knowing how I'm doing. And I know that I'm an outlier in the world. I'm not your typical, and I'm also not young, so I can't tell you what the young folks think. But for me, I don't care about the numbers. I really don't, except that one A1C number. That one's important.
Yeah, but a lot of people do care, and for a lot of people, it is what drives them. It's what encourages them. It's what keeps them going. Sky, I want to throw it to you because I know you have some show and tell of something that's connected to this very idea.
Well, I'm in a library. How ironic that we talking about information, and this is historically that technology called the printing press, and then people that had to learn how to read a specific language, not just all languages, this is just English mostly in here. There's probably some Hebrew around, but David, you could help me read that. But I have not accessed a single book in here. So when Troutman, you referred to the cognitive load, I don't disagree. Are we at a point in history of great upheaval, great change? Absolutely. Is it helping my wife teach in her first, second, and third grade? It's trying to, but again, we are at a point of great change. To that point, about 4 weeks ago, my little 4-year-old neighbor, whose mother had just given birth to her young sister, came up to me because we live in kind of community experience. She came up to me and she poked me in the belly and said, "When is your baby due?" And I thought, well, I need to get rid of this 30 pounds of COVID baby. It's been 2 years now. So yes, I go. Can you show that app? So David Paskin, God bless you. You inspired me through your Lovable experience to build a thing. I went to Planet Fitness, and the gym coach there said, "Here is a piece of paper, and I'm going to scribble these machines." I took that scribbly purple inked piece of paper back to the gym the next day. Everything in that gym is purple. I couldn't tell one arm leg from a neck thing from a wrist yanker. I didn't know the names. I'm ignorant. So he and I sat down with a Google on my iPad here, and we did a thing in Google Sheets, and I could now read it. And then I thought, what would David Paskin do? I'm wearing a bracelet now. What would DP do? Okay. So I took it into Claude and I said, "Hey, Claude, what can you do with this spreadsheet?" And it said, "Well, I could make you an app." It's like, what? That I could read without glasses in the gym? Yeah. And I could do this and that and this. And I went, what? So I now have 3 different sets of exercises for exercise session A, exercise. So the next day I would do B. And again, Claude is coming back to me. You don't do the same one twice because then your muscles, and I'm learning all about my muscles and tearing. I'm doing all kinds of things. But this little thing here lets me track my exercise. Now that, to Lois's point, is data. What do I do with that data? Well, at the bottom, I said, hey, can you scrape that data and send it over to a Google Sheet? And went, sure. So now at the end of the week, I will have my entire week's exercises. And now the goal of all of this is that 4-year-old little girl, according to Google, if I keep it up, I will be 30 pounds lighter in 18 months when that child turns 5. And she won't be able to poke me in the belly and ask where my baby is.
And that's the perfect use for data to accomplish a goal that you set yourself. So this is not somebody outside, measuring you. This is you going, I want to lose.
And this is the punchline, isn't it? All of this data is only as good as what we do with it. And this is where David Troutman and I, coming from the marketing of information that gets supported by advertising, is the challenge, because advertising only gets paid by selling product. And what is information? Well, in the shortest amount of time to get your attention, I refer to it as the Pavlovian response. Once they ring that bell, we will buy that thing. Once they show you how bad your life is, but if you buy their product, it's all better. And again, this is the willingness, Lois, of my being inspired by Paskin to do something that he's unqualified for. He will not sell this product to anybody else because he can't service it. But the tool is available to him at a price point that he can afford a subscription to a thing. And I now have an app that I can hopefully get less fat.
But I think you're missing one important piece of this puzzle, and then I'll get Tamara and Lois, and that
thank you for the show and tell.
Yeah. But that is that what you and I have essentially created are fancy spreadsheets. I mean that's really all they are, and that's great. But the reason, the ones that are in the App Store, the ones that people subscribe to or pay for or download, the reason those are successful is not because they're fancy spreadsheets, but it's because I'm not the only one who sees my data. Because I share my data with Tamara, and then we compete. And I know I'm accountable because I'm not the only one who sees my data, my numbers. I know that she sees my data also. And I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to do less than my friends. And so it's the sharing of that data. It's the sharing of those numbers. It's the social aspect of it that I think is really quite powerful and also potentially a little dangerous. Let me get Tamara.
And that's a component of this. But I was the one that had to decide that I was the one that needed to lose the weight. I wasn't losing it for anybody else.
No, fair enough.
And so that's So thank you for letting me punchline that.
Yeah, let me get Tamara, Lois, and David. Tamara, go ahead.
So there's two different pieces to this. The one piece that you said that was really interesting is looking at our numbers on YouTube and looking at our Facebook posts. And I feel like that, that little like button, which I do believe was created with an altruistic thing in mind of, hey, this will give our users a chance to express themselves differently.
And by the way, Tamara,
fast forward.
By the way, Tamara, we have 8 likes now on this video.
I love this.
We started with 1,
but
we have 8.
But like that part of it, I think, what we came to find out is that people really became emotionally attached to that like button. And I feel like for me, like my use of technology kind of goes through a little cycle. First, it's entertainment, and then it's a little disappointment. And then there's it becomes a tool, and then it becomes actually invigorating and kind of part of my life. But, I found with Facebook, it did start mattering to me. And I was like, this is a real problem if I post something and I'm judging my self-worth based on on how many people liked me, or my birthday comes around and I'm like, well, is this number bigger than last year's number? That's like one part of this that is really negative. I think some of the other things, like what Sky's talking about, and for me, I love my Apple Watch. I don't only read my data. I literally write it down. I track it in my little planner. That new sleep score, I'm in love with it. Thank you, Apple. I think it's amazing. It makes no sense. The actual score makes no sense whatsoever. How it's based makes no sense. I'm not sleeping more, but I can still get a higher score. But it helps me to keep kind of a long-term goal as to how things are going. And things have actually gone better because I've been able to follow that and track it. I'm walking more, my steps are higher, my heart rate's lower. Like all of these things can be very, very helpful. But I think they have two sides to them.
Lois.
I think the Apple Watch, with all of its health measurements, if one wants to use it, great. What I worry more about are the ads. And you guys, I'm bringing this up because I see it in my games all the time. And there are ads that say, okay, now in order to get healthy, you need to do this and this kind of exercise and this kind of that thing. And then you look at that and you say, okay, it's a free app. Why not? And then you look at it a little closer and go, who's behind this and what are they getting out of it? And why are they giving it to me for free? There's gotta be a trick. So I don't do it.
But I think that is very different than like the Apple apps that are Apple apps do not have a commercial in them every second page. They literally are, here's the data that we've aggregated. And again, you decide its accuracy and how to use it for your life. If you get another app that interacts with your watch, they often have upsells and they have all of those things. The basic stuff that just comes on your phone, there aren't ads in that. It's just this is what your data says, and you use it however you want. So I agree with you. I think that we do have to be aware of who's selling this. And oftentimes you'll see an ad and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I need. And you'll go to that app and you're like, are you kidding? This is a fasting app. I actually don't need that. What you sold me on was something else to get me to here. But that actually is a little different than the Apple apps themselves.
And Paskin, you're gonna get your high rating now because I'm gonna reach through this camera and grab a hold of Lois and smack her for keep saying it's free.
We don't smack anybody.
It's not free. It's not free.
I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for it.
Well, you are with your time and your anxiety is my point. So
it's true. Nothing's free.
By perpetuating the myth of the word, you're marketing for them. And that's why I want to love you gently with a firm grip.
Dave, go ahead.
That's very funny. Love you. Okay. I was very impressed when the Apple Watch came out that they had a feature right at the very beginning that you could sign up for research and you could contribute your data to a research project. And a Heart Institute in New York, I believe, got 20,000 subscribers on the first day. No researcher in the world would refuse 20,000 participants. It's really hard to get 1,000. Because it means they have to commit. They have to send the data all the time. They have to document it. But the watch made that seamless. Now, we know the iPhone makes a whole lot of things seamless. That's why we love to use them. And that's why Android is there, because it makes it seamless too. So all of that is helping. And I think in the sense that the data can be used for good. And if you are able to put it to use, and as we said earlier, if you're using it for your own self-improvement and your own development, then it's useful. But when it's data that's just tracking you and making you an audience and giving you feedback about who thinks you're great, that's not helpful, both on a psychological or a social level. I did love hearing the connection between David and Tamra in terms of their own circles being shared. And I think that's what we used to do in person. You know, you'd play somebody with tennis and you'd learn a little better how to play tennis because they tell you what you're doing wrong. Or you went jogging together with 2 or 3 other people and you had social conversations while you're doing that, but it was all good health. And I think in the sense that we're starting to isolate for the gathering of, useful and important data that makes me important, then I'm traveling down that wrong track, and the medium is working against me. I wanted to mention there's a TV series on Netflix called Black Mirror. And Black Mirror season 3, episode 1 is called Nosedive. And it hits this right on the head. A woman is working and doing well, and she's getting all these points every day. And if she gets enough, she can apply for a special house she can live in and qualify for a neighborhood. And all of a sudden, she says something wrong at the last minute, and it goes bad. And it goes straight bad. And she's now, on the street, can't get a job, all the rest of it, because she did a nosedive in her data. And I think, they're being funny about it, but at the same time, we're looking at this and saying, how is it affecting our prosperity? Is being a YouTube influencer something that everybody can be? No. And it's the same dynamic in real life. Not everybody can be a physicist. Not everybody, including me, can be an astronaut. I can't even fly a plane because I wear glasses. So it's that kind of thing that we got to be careful that the data doesn't become who we are. And I think that's where the reflection thing that you were mentioning earlier, David, was a very important thing, is we don't do enough of that if we're busy chasing an audience.
Yeah. Thank you. Tony, jump on in.
Yeah, I want to turn it just a little bit from the perspective of, first, let me just say I am a Apple Watch user, and I shared last week, and actually there was a short on what I said last week, so that was really kind of surprising when I saw that earlier this week. But I really wanted to lean in sort of to the idea about self-worth. And part of it for me is, and it may not be unique to everyone, but it's unique. I think it's unique to me in that because of all of the health issues that I've had over the last 5 years, part of my self-worth is wrapped up in me being in this space, being able to interact with each and every one of you. There was a time when the things that I am dealing with would prohibit me from being able to interact in a way that is meaningful. And so my self-worth is wrapped up in this technology, in that I'm able to contribute to this conversation and be a part of this conversation. I'm able to interact with the house of worship and encourage them and be with them and teach and speak and be a part of that experience. I'm able to have a show where I talk about technology and I talk about education and I talk about all of these different topics, where it's important to have conversations about things that are meaningful to people, real people, right? And so were it not for this technology that exists right now, I would, for all intents and purposes, not be a participant in society. Now, I am still not able to do a lot of in-person activities, but I have a rich, I think, experience because I'm able to engage with people all over the world. The house of worship that I work with is literally about 115 miles away from where I live. So I think that the technology that exists now is a tool that allows us to move beyond whatever physical difficulties we may experience or have. And I'm thankful for that experience. I celebrate it. And I think sometimes I celebrate it too much, because there are a lot of people who, you know, when they see me coming, they feel like, well, my family primarily, here he's going to talk about something new in AI, and he's going to talk about something new and blah, blah, blah. And so.
I want to bring in just a couple comments from the chat, and then Lois, I'm going to throw it over to you. First of all, I want to officially and publicly thank Cindy for liking our video. She went to great lengths to find the YouTube link, and like very appreciative of that. Incidentally,
I'm gonna have to step out and be. I want to say it publicly that Lois and I have been chatting on the back end, that my passion for the word free and its misuse has been, we've coalesced. So when you go away and I come back and I'm not in the David Paskin did not block me. He did not governmentalize
That's what I did.
His choice, and out of your sandbox. We have come to an adult conversation in a civil discussion, and this civil opportunity of communication continues. And now I'm going to go be with my people group that meets on Sundays and figure out how to keep that concept going.
Good having you here, Scott.
Love you all.
You're free to come back, Scott. You're free.
I am, because I choose to, and it's my time that I want to. Bless you.
So
Cheers.
one of the things that that I've never said, I don't think I've ever said on this show at the end of the video is, hey, don't forget to subscribe.
Right.
I've never said that. That's something that YouTubers do all the time. And there's some conversation going on, and I just want to shout out to John, because he's really said some really beautiful things here. He says, social media is interesting because in most other aspects of your life, engagement is success. And then he says, content creation is more successful when you allow your creation to develop its own legs and make an impact, but you drive your meaning. Drive your meaning from the creation, not the engagement or the reaction. And every time I hear a YouTuber say, don't forget to subscribe or smash that subscribe button or whatever they're saying, I'm thinking to myself, boy, they're not letting the creation or the meaning of the creation drive the growth, right? They're because if I'm of the mindset, if you build it, they will come. If something's worthy, then people will watch it. You don't have to tell them to subscribe. Now,
but
I have no subscribers,
with your audience.
So maybe I'm wrong about that. But I mean, that's just my approach. Tamara, hold on one second. I want to let Lois jump in real quick.
Just responding to your subscribe thing. When I'm watching something and they start, ring that bell and hit that subscribe, I'm likely to turn it off and go someplace else.
I agree.
It's not enticing. It's not. Well, so I want to get back to our first question. We were talking about our data and how that impacts us. So most of the things we've been talking about have been health-related statistics, that kind of data from the Apple Watch and that sort of thing. I'm wanting to look a little bit at when you keep track of what you are doing during the day. And there are apps that will do that. They'll say, well, you spent this many minutes on this site and this many minutes on that site. And that information isn't particularly useful to me. However, if I keep a diary and I say, well, I got up at 6:55 in the morning and I had a pill and I did this and I did this, and then at 7, and then at 11, and I keep the diary, then that is more important to me. I may never go and read it again, but the fact that I intentionally wrote down what happened is making me remember it more. It is enforcing in my mind what I did and what I said. And so that's very different than having a mechanical device, bill your hours or whatever it is. So maybe it's a little off topic, but how many of you out there on our panel keep a diary of any sort, any kind of diary?
Multiple.
Yeah.
Multiple. Yeah, I do a daily, really kind of morning pages where I go and I don't use technology for that. It is a little tiny book. They are this size. They fit in my pocket. They go to Starbucks or to the park, and I can just write and it tends to be about 3 pages a day. And I just get everything on paper. I'm not sure that I would ever reread them. There's probably 100 of them in a bookshelf, because they last about 2 months at that size. But I find that that is really the way that I can clear my brain at the top of the day. And I don't think it's readable by anybody. It's probably not readable by me. Occasionally I'll pull them out and go, where is my head here? Oh, look, I'm still in that place. Or, I'm able to, because again, that is data. It is long-term data. And I can go back and say, wow, you were really struggling there, but things turned around, which means if I'm really struggling now, I have past data in paper that says, you know what, it's going to get better. So I think that for me, I do a lot. I keep a digital day planner, but I also keep a handwritten day planner, because for me, that mind to pen is really important for memory and for just getting things done, and for creativity and the ways that I use it. I tend to use my digital tools in a way for motivation. Right. I use my cell phone to remind me to take a vitamin, because I will forget. I will forget. I do. I forget. If I don't track it and I don't have my cell phone remind me an alarm, I will not do it. Even though it's good for me, even though I want to be a regular vitamin taker.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that digital reminder, it wouldn't happen.
Tony and then Dave. Go ahead.
I am guilty, David, of like and subscribe. And I not only am I guilty of like, subscribe, I added last night, comment please. So I'm totally guilty. What I wanted to say was that in the idea of my primary device that I use on all my devices for thoughts and reminders is Apple Notes. I put everything on Apple Notes. And the reason that I use it like that is because, as a person who is a part of the Apple infrastructure, my notes are always with me, whether it's the phone, the iPad, or the laptop. They're always with me. And I am, Lois and Tamara, one of those people who would write everything down. But the difference for me was that when I moved to Apple Notes, whatever I wrote down, I didn't have to worry about carrying it with me, because it was always with me. Because I'm always going to have my phone. If I don't have my phone, then I have my iPad. If I don't have my iPad or my phone, I have my computer. So one of those three devices, and also my Apple Watch. And so I'm always going to have the Apple Watch and pretty much the phone. So, and it's been a lifesaver for me.
I love
in
that.
that
Notes.
in that in
I love
that
it.
like not only notes, but the Apple infrastructure and all, because like right now I'm working on a sermon for Sunday, right? And I'm working on that sermon on the computer. I'm working on that sermon on the phone. I'm working on that sermon everywhere. So
Apple Notes is brilliant, though. It's genius.
Dave, did you want to jump in?
Very searchable too, yes. I do. You all know I'm a big media expert, as it were. And guiding light for me is a guy named Marshall McLuhan who invented the phrase global village, and that is what the internet is. He also talked about the medium is the message. And what he meant by that was that the message of any medium is the change of scale or pace or pattern that it introduces into human affairs. And I'd like everybody just to stop and think, Lois is always talking about what life used to be like and how things were simpler, or we did it all in our head and we didn't have to have a computer to talk to people. And she's right. The scale has changed, the pace has changed, and the pattern of our connect and connectivity with people has changed. And we're all adapting to it because as humans, that's what we do. Our environment changes and then we adapt to it. The temperature changes, we put on a coat, that sort of thing. What he really meant about it, and a reason people don't get what the medium is the message is about and how they might push back against it, is that there's a deep-seated repugnance in the human breast. I'm quoting him now, understanding the technological processes in which we are involved. Such understanding involves too much responsibility for our actions. This is a thing psychologists deal with all the time, is people come to them with a problem because their life is going to hell, and they need someone to explain why that's happening. And what it does is put them in the situation of having to explain to another person what's not working. And then that other person makes them responsible for it. So reflection off of how you behave online, in any platform, whether it's texting friends or using your watch, look at your behavior all the time. Examine on a regular basis, is this improving my life or not? I see you guys getting very excited about AI, large language models. Is it helping? Okay, yes. In some cases, for some of you, this has been very helpful. But even David has noticed he's a little afraid. What happens if, I don't know, they turn off my feed and I can't log into my thing anymore? That's going to affect my work. So he's reflecting on it, and all of us should. We should all look at how much we rely on this stuff and what would happen if the power went out. Would I have an axe here. I'm going to survive. But we've all got to be able to see these things for what they're doing to us, not how brilliant the future is going to be, because that's the free that Sky is so upset about. Is anybody who wants to convince you of something tells you first, this is going to be free. Well,
Right.
McLuhan is not around anymore, but he left us in 1981 on New Year's Eve, and his legacy continues. He's the patron saint of the internet, according to Wired magazine. So get knowledgeable about yourselves, and a quantified self is fine as long as it's helping you.
Yes, and I would offer a yes and an
Okay.
and.
I would too.
And my and is specifically thinking about young people and social metrics. And as older folks, we can probably do that work, that balancing act that you're talking about. But I think younger people can't.
Mm-hmm.
I think my daughters, who are early 20s,
These are digital natives, yeah.
right? It's very, very difficult for them to get out of the metrics. They are young people who receive fewer likes. They have increased feelings of rejection. They have more negative self-thoughts. They have decreased momentary self-worth. I mean, there's real damage that this whole way of judging ourselves is causing to younger generations.
I think that
Yeah,
speaks to.
Go ahead, Tamara.
I think that speaks to what we've kind of been dancing around with the idea of engagement, right? So we've been kind of mocking and saying, like and subscribe. But there's a big difference when people say, if you like this kind of content and you want to be part of this community, then like and subscribe, than someone who is grasping at straws and they just want anyone out there, right? And so there's a real difference between that, because the thing about the internet that has been true from the beginning is that there is a connective quality. There is an engagement available to you. That is not everything you do on the internet is inherently bad or inherently good. Even within our own chat, we put little hearts up, and we rate our videos that we're watching. But also, it isn't, that's not the part that really has a lot of lasting impact. The impact is the communication that we have with each other. We get to chat with each other every week, but we also get to engage with the people in our audience through Mukana and through, Discord. So we've taken what could be a one-sided conversation between 5 people, and we continue that conversation on. So when we're saying like and subscribe to us, what we're saying is, oh, like our video, but really come into our Discord and hang out with us. Come on our panel and engage with us. Go to our Makana and chat with us. And that kind of engagement is really, really important. So we've been talking a lot about engagement and like as though it's superficial, and not all of it is. And that, I think, is really important.
And Cindy was noting in the background that it's not just the people who are talking on a panel. It's the people working in the back end.
Absolutely.
Who are also connecting and engaging with one another. And so in those sorts of environments where relationships are paramount, the numbers may not matter as much. Again, I think that fewer and fewer young people are finding themselves in spaces where the relationships are more important than
what are the communities they're in? Yes.
Right.
Are they isolated, or are they part of a community? And we don't recognize those social media as having potential community value. And as a community leader in real life, this is a struggle I have, is that young people don't see getting people in the same room as being as important as getting them all on their.
Well, that's half the battle, Dave. But the other half of the battle is for the community itself to, like Tamara was saying, to make a conscious decision to not just say subscribe, but hey, if you like this content, subscribe, right? To make the conscious decision to say that the metrics that matter to us are not just the likes and the dislikes. There's more to it. Let me get.
I joined Office Hours because I thought they were making a new medium. And I think that's true. We are a bunch of production people who had nothing better to do, but we put a thing together that then grew into a community. And this is the thing, right? We're a community of geeks, yes, and techies and production people and stage managers and all. But it is supported by a gang of people who make it possible.
Yeah.
They don't want to be on the screen. They don't care if we have an audience. They just want to use this technology and figure out what it can do for us. Right. And I think it's beginning to be shown in the larger internet that people are seeking community and they just don't know where to find it.
Yeah.
Now, we're not a closed community. We try to be a conversation for everybody on the planet. But medical people are starting to see this. They want to engage with each other as almost a book club, that sort of thing. And off when the meter stops and they want to talk about real things, they don't have a place to do it anymore.
I'm gonna give this to Tony and Lois for the last word. If I could just throw one other thing in, and that is, I don't really like him that much, but I'm fascinated by Mr. Beast and what he's built. I'm not a fan of his videos really, but what he's built. So he is the top creator on YouTube. He has billions upon billions of views of his videos. He's made billions of dollars doing it, and he's given millions and millions and millions of dollars away. I watched so his new Beast Games, his second season of Beast Games came out on Amazon Prime, which I'm not planning on watching. I tried to watch the first season. I couldn't get into it. But he made a conscious...
Canada, by the way.
I'm sorry?
That was all made in Canada, that particular version.
So he was being interviewed about the second season. He made an interesting comment. So the first season they had 1,000 contestants. Because when they did it, it was the biggest number of this and the biggest number of that and the biggest cash prize and the biggest. And one of the things they changed for this season is that they only have 200 contestants now. And the reason he said they did that is because what people really enjoyed most about the first season and what they felt they were missing was getting to know the contestants, was having enough time in the show to actually get to know them. And one of the big differences that he did is that instead of having forgive me, Tamara, a producer with a camera person sort of directing the dialogue and the shots, every single contestant had their own camera, and it was just raw. It was just honest, get to know me. And so he pared down his contestant list to encourage more of that. He also talked about, he released a video a couple of months ago now that he recorded 10 years ago of himself. So it's him at age, I guess, 15. And the video is called Me 10 Years From Now. He recorded the video and then he set it on YouTube to go live in 10 years. And a couple months ago, it went live. And it was this, 15-year-old kid just talking about, what he hopes for, what he wants. And Mr. Beast said that people enjoyed that video so much that he now wants to do more content where it's not with all the fancy stuff, where it's just him connecting and engaging with people. And so it's an interesting trend from the guy who spends millions of dollars on these ridiculous videos to now be starting to say, Marques Brownlee actually is doing more of these videos where he just is holding a camera, a phone. He's just doing kind of with the selfie view, paring it down, trying to shift the focus perhaps. I don't know. Tony and Lois, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think for us, people of a certain age, that it's easy to look at this technology and say, this is a great tool for this, great tool for that. It is for us a tool because we had a life experience that was beyond, we didn't have all this. And so I think the difference is for younger people is that it is not just a tool for them. It is a part of who they are because it is something that they've grown up with. So I think that's just one of the things that we have to think about this when we look at this or when we have conversations about this, that, it's a tool for us, but it is a part of who they are because it's part of their identity.
For sure. Lois.
So I got distracted by something that somebody said. That happens a lot. What I want to end with is the difference between public and private. So I keep a diary. It's just for me. Nobody else is going to see that. When blogs came out, I thought, oh, wow, great. Now I can put it someplace where I can always get to it. This was before we had all these Apple Watches and things. And so I made a blog. I didn't expect anyone else to find it, let alone watch it. It was for me. So it was I thought, a private thing. Well, now if you say the word blog, people assume that you're a creator or you're trying to be an influencer or you're, for some reason, shouting at the top of your voice, saying what you got to say. And so the difference between a private reflection and a public pronouncement is quite real for me. I'm not sure how much that distinction is for young people coming up. I have a feeling that living in a fishbowl seems normal to a lot of folks. And that's a little bit worrisome. As far as finding your own community, I tell you, out on the internet, no matter what the subject matter is, you can find a bunch of people that are interested in that. You can get together, you can do video calls, you can do forums, you can do all sorts of things. You can be a photographer on Flickr and you can make a group or a pool or whatever. And something as silly as, if I take a picture straight up a tree, we'll make a group out of that. It's called Upwardly Mobile. I mean, there is a group for everything. You just have to find it.
Yeah, agreed. I'm so grateful to this group and to the engagement that we had in this tonight. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the numbers. At our peak, we had 31 viewers concurrently. We have 18 likes. That means 13 of you still haven't.
Is that a
liked
new
the
record?
video. I don't know if that's a new
Have we
record.
peaked yet?
I don't know. But but Cindy and John and
We don't want to peak too early.
and Vic and who else? Jeffrey Wilshire, good to see you here. Tommy, good to see you. Gary, Vic, I already said. Richie, good to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us. We're here every Thursday, and you don't need to subscribe, but you need to show up and be part of the conversation and throw those comments and those chat in. And boy, you know what would be amazing is to join us on the panel. I mean, we'd love to have your voices, to have your opinions, to have your thoughts shared with us. Reach out to me. You can hit me over in Discord through office hours or on the Rundown Discord. Just go to therundown.show. Therundown.show. That'll link to our Discord there. Next week, the value of knowledge in the age of instant answers. Do we really need to know anything at all?
Ooh,
Bum,
what a
bum,
topic.
bum. Until then, my friends, have a lovely, lovely week. See you soon.